Hey guys, Joe here from XFoxGames. Check it out. This is going to be an install guide for our XFKO brass breech kit. Now before, again, we used to sell the kit without the brass breech, but we figured, you know what? Let's go ahead and include this just to save some of you guys a little bit of time because I'll admit, you know, cutting this and getting this perfect is kind of hard. So we figured, you know what? We'll just send you it perfectly cut, perfectly smooth, so it's an install, right? You don't gotta fiddle around with stuff. If you guys are curious too, we also have the inline kit. If you guys want to check it out there, it's, you know, it's basically an inline kit where you can basically have almost three or four different darts in the barrel at one time and not have to reload after every shot. You do get a better FPS performance out of the brass breech, so again, pick your forte. And again, before we start too, a big thank you to everybody who has purchased these blasters, these kits so far. Again, a big thank you to AA out there. Thank you for supporting us and kind of, you know, keeping us level-headed here because we love this stuff and we want to make more stuff for you guys. So let's get into the kit. And also, too, the colors that we have currently are some of these down here. We've got pinks and purples and blues and greens. We got more all the time, right? But we want to make sure that we have a little bit of an inventory. So when you guys order, we get it to you quick. I don't want you guys waiting weeks, months. I want you guys waiting days to get it, right? So let's hop in. First things first is the blaster trimming. Just like the XFKO, what you want to do is you really just want to follow this line right here. You just follow this line all the way at the bottom, all the way across, right? Nothing too crazy about it. These I typically do in two separate pieces. I will do this via a Dremel and get it close, and then I'll use a file and then check. Use a file and then check. Really up to you on how you want to do it. I've seen some people use like a skill saw and all kinds of stuff, but I just use a Dremel tool to get that. And what you really want to do here on the grip is just follow the kind of the groove up. You'll see it on yours. Follow the groove up and follow this groove to where they meet. You can even get like a pencil or a marker just to mark it so you know, but this will take you probably the longest out of all of this just because you want to make sure you get this right. Because if you don't, you kind of don't have a blaster to put it into. So take your time with it. It is straightforward. And just, again, you know, cut, file, check. Cut, file, check. And the way that I check is you just get that front piece, you just kind of put it in there, right? Just kind of put it in there. It should lock in there in place, and you're like, okay, it fits. Or if it doesn't fit, just sand off a little more. Now, there is a front piece up here. I'll pop this up on the screen that you want to trim just to make sure everything fits. But yes, you can just pop this on. You can pop your other side on. Make sure it all fits nicely, and you're like, okay, perfect. The front is now done. So again, take a little bit off at a time. Don't do too much all at one time. Next is going to be the plunger, the same as the XFKO inline kit. Typically what I'll do is I will get little snips like this, or some people just pull it off with needle nose, is I'll snip out that air restrictor slash ball holder, whatever you want to call it. You can pull it right out. And then if you want to, you can dig out the, it's kind of like a plus sign that's even farther down in there. Now, a key thing about this is you guys see that lip in there, that extra lip, that ring? Don't get rid of that extra ring in there, because if you start digging that out, you start warping this whole back. Just do the innards and that's it. And if you want to, you can even file it down a little more with like a little file, right? You can just kind of file the little edges off, kind of knock the stuff out, make sure they don't go back in here, right? Kind of file and go. And you'll end up something like that right there. Pretty straightforward. So now what you want to do is you want to get your plug here, which should look like this. And you're going to notice there's a little groove on the top there. It's going to fit that groove on the top of that. So what you want to do is you're going to go, you're going to go back in. You're going to want to just shave or just kind of file down some of the little nubs. They're the nubs that you basically pulled off of the, that were kind of holding that ball detent. So just kind of file it down, tap it, maybe blow it out a little bit. Again, line up everything. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So it should sit flush on this outer ring. You could also get rid of that outer O-ring that was on the out there. You don't need it. So once it fits, perfect. What you want to do is just put a little bit of Gorilla Glue that inner portion there. Slide this back in. Should probably take like, I don't know, my stuff sets in about 4 minutes or 45 seconds, whatever it is. I let it sit for about 5 minutes to make sure that is really in there nice. So perfect. We got that all set. Now probably the most, I don't say the most difficult part of this all, but you're going to have this back piece or this inner barrel, right? And you can kind of push it through. Just kind of spot check, make sure it flows really good. This inner piece will go in here. So what we want to do now is we want to take the outer part, or the outer kind of sleeve to the barrel, and just kind of fit it in there, right? It should go right inside that first hole here. It is kind of tough, so just kind of, kind of work it in there a little bit. And watch out, it is kind of sharp, so just be careful. It's okay, so perfect. We're just going to set it like that for now. What we want to do next is you want to set this barrel inside of this. So our next step is I put a yellow plug in here. Maybe it's a little easier to see. What we want to do is we want to just make sure everything is sealed here with the glue. It's not going to pop out. And then also just kind of test fit it. It should just slip right in like that. Just slip right in, right? And you want to get this kind of lined up to where, this part is up. The hole is up. You don't want to glue it in there and it's to the side. That'd be kind of weird. But you want to get it to where it's kind of up. And what I'll typically do here is I will get this inner barrel, right? Because we haven't glued this yet. And I'll just set it in there kind of like this. Just so when this inner barrel is glued, it is straight. So just kind of straighten it up. Okay, just kind of make sure everything is flowing right and everything is moving smooth here. Okay, looks good. What I'll go ahead and do now is I will put a little bit of super glue, or again, Gorilla Glue, on that inner ring in there. I will set the barrel again just after our test fitment. Slide this on. And you don't want to slide it all the way back, the full chamber, but you want this inner piece back. Again, make sure it is sitting up and straight. And then just set it down and let it sit for, again, 5, 6, 15 minutes, depending on your glue. You want to make sure that this does not slide when you're testing it. So let's just assume it's all the way done now. Now we're going to want to make sure that this inner sleeve goes over the hole when it's pushed back. So typically what I'll do here is I will go ahead and get the trigger, right, that you're going to use. We're going to want to get the catch as well as the safety. So I will put this trigger in here like this. Usually these will go in there at the same time. Whoop. Just like that. Okay, kind of sits. And then usually I'll put the safety on there just to make sure everything is nice and flat. So you now know where the catch is at. That's the biggest thing. So this is going to be sitting like this. So you know, if you push this back, and we have not adjusted that inner piece yet, look, it won't even go back to the catch. So you know this needs to go back quite a bit more. So you can kind of push it to like farther back, right? So if you see that, it's kind of like the XFO inline kit where it's not that far from that from the end of that tube that's in there. So let's try it again. Okay. Oh, we're close. See how it doesn't catch? So what you could do is you can push it in. You could see it is barely coming out of that cylinder right there. Barely, just a nub. And that is well over enough for the extra room that is for back here, right? So just take that in note how far that is for you. Now you can push it back up, with a finger or something like that, and you can go ahead and put a little bit, again, of super glue on the base of that so it doesn't go anywhere, or you can just put some right down there. Again, completely up to you. That inner piece won't move if you put a dab of super glue right down in there. Now that you have all of that, let it sit for, again, 10 minutes, I would say, somewhere right in there. Perfect. What I'll do now is I will put the rest of the stuff on the blaster, right? Oh, I always forget one more thing. So some people always ask about the spring. So you sometimes can get away with this by using the stock spring and just hook it onto the hook. Some people will put a dab of Gorilla Glue right on the end of that so it's not really moving around. And sometimes you can get away with it, right? It has good spring back. But sometimes you might want to trim this. So if you look at it, you can trim this like, I don't know, you could take like 10 rings off there, kind of up to you. And then you take another 3 rings and you bend those so that the hooks or the circle will go right on. Completely up to you. Some I can get away with it, some I can't. It's just a tolerance thing. So once that's all on, you put the blaster back together like normal. Let's just say you know how to do all that. You put this on. Okay, so perfect. And it's in essence, once everything's bolted up, I mean, you could fire it like this, right? I mean, if you wanted to, you could fire it exactly like this. So you'll notice that the kit, when this comes out, right, it'll look like that. And whenever you're ready, you can just put this on there after you've tested it, and your brass breech is done. So it's not that hard to put together, but again, it does take a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, probably about half an hour because you're kind of, or you know, maybe 45 minutes because you're waiting for the Gorilla Glue to get done. But there you go, guys. That is the install kit for the XFKO blaster with the brass breech. If you guys have any questions, definitely leave it below. Thanks again, Fox fans.